Hi there. So, I've been talking with you about what it takes to be healthy and to grow into full maturity. I've taught you the importance of self examination and self reflection, as well as understanding and managing your thoughts and emotions so they don't get the best of you. We've looked at what gets in the way of being the person you want to become, like your idolatry, as well as your emotions of fear and pain and disappointment. However, there's also a deeper question you have to ask yourself in order to continue your maturity process. And that's the question of, do you live your daily life by a compass or by a clock? Let me explain. I'm afraid we have bought into another enormous lie in our culture, and that lie is this. If you're really, really busy, you must be doing something important. More than ever, people are crazy busy, and they get upset with themselves if they're not productive and efficient. The more you produce, the better you feel, right? How many of you have had a huge to-do list and it feels good when you've crossed it all off? The danger of this kind of lifestyle and thinking is it never ends. You have to continue to produce in order to feel good, and before long you start to feel like this hamster on a gigantic hamster wheel, and you don't know how to get off of it without your entire life crashing to the ground. People often ask me, Leslie, I don't know how you do it all. Wow, you must be so busy doing God's work. And I want you to know, when I'm clear-minded and in tune with God and I'm aligned, I think to myself, don't be fooled. Chronic busyness is not spirituality. It's nothing more than a false sense of your own importance. It's not a true mark of living in alignment with the truth. In fact, how many of you feel that busyness and stress contribute to much of your negative moods and misery? Because our entire life has turned into an exercise in hurry, trying to pack as much as we can into every minute of our day. Even when I walk my dog, poor thing, I'm telling her, hurry up, add pee. I gotta hurry, I gotta go do the next thing. And we've become time sick, me too. And I want you to know what this costs us. Doctors' offices are packed with people suffering from conditions brought on by this stress. Insomnia, migraines, hypertension, asthma, gastrointestinal trouble. You might have relationship problems, but some of it is due to your busy lifestyle as well. And burnout used to be something that we mainly found in people over 40, but now we're seeing people in their 20s and 30s completely burned out. Children who don't get enough sleep because of all the sports they're involved in and homework they have to do and the internet and the FOMO, the fear of missing out, keeping them active in things that they just need a break from. In order to keep pace with the modern world, people are resorting to more and more potent chemicals just to keep up. And we're not sleeping enough because we can get more done if we stay up or get up early. And the average American now gets 90 minutes less sleep than she did 100 years ago. And did you know that drowsiness causes more car accidents than alcohol? And for some of us, even instant gratification isn't fast enough because people who slow us down become our enemy. So we see more road rage, air rage, shopping rage, relationship rage, office rage. Thanks to our obsession with going faster, we live in this age of rage. Here's the lie. We think that if we're busy, we're having a meaningful life. But it's a deception, it's an illusion. When you spin the blades of a fan fast enough, it looks like something solid, right? But it's only when you slow it down do you realize, that's not solid. It's not what I thought. Slowing down helps you build a more meaningful and intentional life. Truth is, growth takes time. Changing your habits takes time and intentionality and thoughtfulness. Please don't confuse busyness with growth or a meaningful life. And so I just want to give you a couple ways that you can change this habit of busyness if you truly want to grow and become the woman God called you to be. First, focus on living on purpose rather than getting more done. We often busily live each day without any reflection, without being intentional about who we are, our big circle, where we want to go, who God has made us to be, and whether or not we're heading in the right direction. I've called this your big circle, and it becomes your compass for your purpose and for your day's work. And without this reflection, you're going to lose direction and instead live by other people's expectations of you or by the taskmaster of the clock of time. So, for example, when I'm busy and I'm getting frustrated, like last week when I was at the Newark airport and I needed to get someplace on time and I'm circling around the airport 3 times trying to figure out how to get out and I'm getting all frustrated and upset and my body's getting tense, consulting with my big circle, who is it that I want to be, helps me reorient, realign myself. Why am I here? What's important? And getting to the location in peace and calmness and being in my big circle is more important than getting to the location on time, being frustrated and upset. Therefore, teach yourself, train yourself to slow down and refuse to hurry. Hurrying through your day indicates that you are bowing to the God of productivity, trying to get more done than may be wise. Your body feels it, and others notice it too. When you become intentional about refusing to hurry, you will also create a space to actually enjoy more of what you are doing instead of merely doing more. You see, being present to your life is more important than getting everything done. Being present is a requirement in order for you to practice that self-awareness and self-reflection, those important skills in your own growth and maturity. But we're so busy doing things that we're not present to anything except maybe our pain. We're not present to God. We're not present to beauty. We're not truly present to one another or even to ourselves. We are doing more, but we're enjoying it a whole lot less. And our frantic doing has robbed us of our being. I remember one time being so busy, and I went upstairs in my other house in Pennsylvania, and I looked outside and there was this beautiful sunset, and I said, "Oh God, this is so beautiful." And he said to me, "I do this every day. You're just too busy to notice." It's true. God gives us beauty every day that we're just too busy to notice. So as the holidays are approaching, a perfect storm is to be too busy. So instead, be careful, be mindful, take the time for rest. Slow down. It helps you savor the life you have. Even if you are in a destructive marriage, you can still enjoy simple pleasures if you pay attention. Plan good self-care time and constructive recreation instead of mindless internet surfing or shopping. For example, take a bike ride, smell the flowers, walk, enjoy that sunset, watch and dance up to a praise and worship video. Listen to a child's giggle, read an edifying book. Take some time to engage in meaningful conversation with someone, even if that someone can't be your spouse. Each and every day, friend, God does bring goodness, truth, and beauty into your life. But when you're focused on only what's wrong, or who's disappointing you, or blaming others for the way your life is going, or just distracting yourself by doing more or mindless activities, you will miss life, and your life will become more impoverished because of it. I get it. Our culture worships productivity. The more I produce, the more worthwhile I am. But God values something completely different. He wants you to live on purpose and with purpose. And that means developing your big circle, developing your values, your virtues, investing in those. God has put gifts and talents into you, but they need to be developed. If you had a child who had great athletic skills or musical abilities or artistic talents that you saw, they would still need some training and maturity to fully develop those abilities. And so if you're going to live on purpose and with purpose, develop your gifts and abilities instead of squandering them or expecting them to be fully mature without any effort, or allowing your husband to squash them because he feels threatened by your strengths. Hear me. Investing in yourself is not selfish. It is a good stewardship of you so that you can become your best self. 2 Peter 1 tells us to make effort to develop our character qualities because our character, our big circle, is what becomes our compass for our purpose. And so as you slow down from busyness and train yourself to live a life on purpose and for purpose, instead of just mindlessly going through your day, you not only can begin to enjoy the good moments of your life, you give yourself the space to ask yourself some important questions. Like, Lord, why am I here? And answering that question empowers you to live your life here, today, with purpose. Back in my office, I have a framed card someone once sent me, and it says this: "On the street, I saw a small girl, and she was cold and shivering in a thin dress, with little hope of a decent meal. And I became angry and said to God, 'God, why did you permit this? Why don't you do something about it?' And for a while, God said nothing. And that night, he replied, quite suddenly, 'I certainly did do something about it. I made you.' Did you know that your purpose is to show people what God is like? You and I are here to make God known, to make him famous. I love best how the psalmist described God when he says in Psalm 86:5, 'O Lord, you are so good, so ready to forgive, and so full of unfailing love to all who ask for your help.' For many individuals in this broken world, you are the only Jesus they will ever see, the only Bible they will ever read. And so the question we have to ask ourselves, even in dire circumstances of destructive marriages, do we look like him? Maturity means becoming more and more like God. Paul tells you, be an imitator of Christ and live a life of love. Peter tells us that we are to share in God's divine nature. And Paul tells us to put off our old nature or our former way of life, which is deformed and corrupted, and instead to put on our new nature, created to be like who? Like God, righteous and holy. Jesus showed us what God was like, and he calls us to represent him, even when we're interacting with destructive individuals like Jesus did when talking with Judas or the Pharisees. To show his nature and character by the way we treat and interact with people, and that's why that core strength is crucial. Jesus told his followers in Matthew 5, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a light is put on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house, your children, your destructive spouse. In the same way, your purpose is to let your good deeds shine out for all to see, for everyone will praise God the Father." Living your life from your big circle does not come naturally, especially in today's culture. Living by our feelings comes naturally. So to consciously align yourself to your big circle, to your purpose, to your values, to the person that God called you to be, even when you don't feel like it, take some extra self-awareness and that self-discipline and that self-commitment. An athlete or a musician who wants to be great doesn't feel like practicing every day or doing their drills. They don't feel like going to bed early or spending hours at the gym or on the piano, but they do it. Why? Because that's who they are. That's their big circle. That's their purpose. No one makes them do it if they're an adult by then or they want to win the gold, but they know if they don't discipline themselves, they will never become their fullest potential or do the work that they were made to do. Even Jesus didn't always feel like doing what God called him to do. The agonizing moment at the cross when he said, "Lord, if you could take this away from me, I don't feel like going to the cross, but not my will, yours be done." Jesus aligned himself with his big circle, with God's purposes, with the truth of God's word, not with his feelings. Hear me. When you're too busy and that interferes with your ability to handle your emotions wisely, or when your busyness interferes with your ability to fully align and live from your big circle in authenticity and integrity, then you're doing too much, more than God asks of you. Micah asks us, what does the Lord require? His answer was pretty simple. He said, love justice, do mercy, walk humbly with your God. God made you and wants your life to count for something. He gives us all an opportunity to invest in something greater than our own personal kingdoms or creature comforts. He didn't come to give us an easy life or a carefree life, but he promises you that he will give you a meaningful life if you make the effort. So I hope you've realized that if you want to mature and become your best self, you have some hard choices to make and some training to do. It's not just about fixing your marriage or your man. It's about growing into the woman God made you to become, even in this adversity of your destructive marriage. And you can continue this process if you recognize the pitfalls and the obstacles that rob you of your opportunity to be your best self. And it may be listening to the rants and lies of your destructive spouse. It may be that your own internal fears and insecurities and lies you believe keep you from that. It may be your overcrowded schedule. This is your work to do, to sort through the chaff and figure out what's important to you, what is true and good and right. It means understanding that your healing and your wholeness is a process, and you have an active role to play in your own emotional well-being. It's not just about what happens to you, but about what you do with what happens to you that can make all the difference in who you become. And you start that healing process the moment you decide to take responsibility for where you are and not blame anybody else or beat yourself up that you should be better than you are or further along than you are. Instead, simply learn from what's happening, even from your mistakes, and every day start to exercise your chooser to make new and wiser choices. This is a process. And God knows you're going to make mistakes. That's part of learning. That's part of being human. So don't beat yourself up. Just dust yourself off and get back up and keep going, but learn. I love this poem by Portia Nelson. It's called Autobiography in 5 short chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It's not my fault. And it takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. It's not my fault. And it takes such a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. Self-awareness. I know where I'm at. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Whoa. So begin anew to take responsibility for you, for developing, growing, and maturing your big circle, your true self. Identify the lies you believe that keep you afraid, stuck, insecure, angry. Let go of those negative emotions. Start to live from your true self, your big circle, so that you're walking in alignment with the woman that God made you to be, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Doesn't mean you don't acknowledge how you feel. They have a voice. They don't get a vote. Learn to identify the holes in your sidewalk that keep you from living your best self now, and how you keep falling in the same hole again and again and again, and start to train yourself to walk down another street so you don't keep falling in the same hole over and over again. Because Jesus promises us, if you hold to my teaching, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Take care and God bless.